So you chose DaVinci Resolve. Good choice. In this video, I'm going to get you up and running with it in 10 minutes. Start by downloading the latest version of DaVinci Resolve from the Blackmagic website, and I'll be dropping a link. While there is a paid version, you can get 90% of the functionality of DaVinci Resolve from the free version. So once you've downloaded and you've installed it, you boot it up like this, and then this window will pop up. This right here is where we are going to create a new project. Click here and let's call it, and then you click create. Now the main software will open up. While DaVinci is a very advanced software, if you want it to be, it can also be a simple one. Down at the bottom over here from left to right, you can see different icons, and these icons represent different workspaces. All these workspaces from left to right at the bottom of your DaVinci Resolve software, they are all designed to do different things. Over here at your bottom left, if you hover around it, it will give you the name of the icon. This is the media where you can import your shots. Here is your cut. Here you do your basic edits. Here you can get into a bit more complex edits. The fusion section over here is for visual effects. Here, the color for color grading. Fairlight for sound edit, and deliver for your exports. If you're working on a simple video though and you want to keep your workflow very simple and short, then you can head right to the edit panel. Here we can import our media directly. But before you do that though, head over to the project settings towards your bottom right, and then click this gear icon to open the project settings. Here we are going to set our project resolution and frame rates. Personally, I like shooting in 4K at 50 FPS over here. So I'm going to set my project to that. However, many of you might be using HD, in which case you can use 1920 1080 HD. And then you can pick whichever frame rate works for you, but if you're not sure, I'll recommend you pick 30. And to keep things simple, I'm not going to touch anything else except for the proxy media format. So just make sure it is not ProRes 42HQ, which it is, because that format is basically overkill for basic video edits. Make it H264 and then click save to save your project settings. Next, we are going to import our video clips into the project, and to do that we are going to go to the media pool on the left hand side over here, and if you don't have it, just click toggle on this to open it up. This is where we are going to drag and drop our files directly into the project, or you can go over to import and import your media files from here. Let's import our 4K files. Here you can easily drag and drop like this. Now this box may appear when you do that, and what it is suggesting is that you change the project frame rate to match that of the clips you are importing. So you will want to click change just so that your project settings and your clips or your shots are on the same settings. And then at any point in your edit, you can drag more videos, photos, graphics, like designs or audio files into your media pool at any time. Okay, now, so the clips we imported, they are available here in the media pool at the left hand side, and scrolling over it, you can see that the next screen displays or shows you. Here you can, for speed's sake, you can quickly mark with your in and out selections using your I and your O on your keyboard. If you can easily spot the parts of the clip that you want to use in your edits, as you scroll across, click your I and your O to mark your in and out points, and you can easily pull that into your timeline. So this here is the viewer. Over here in your media pool, double click on the clip for it to pop up in your viewer. Here you can easily scrub across the timeline to view your shots. Over here at the bottom we have the project timeline. This is where we'll be editing the clips, transition, an adjustment layer for color grading, arranging all the clips and all the assets together to make the video. Over here you can zoom in and out on the timeline with the plus and the minus. You can also do that with command plus and command minus on your keyboard. At the top here we have the option to either create a single viewer mode or a double viewer mode like this. Double viewer mode will help you view shots both in your media pool over here and also your timeline over here. So if you had already pulled clips from your viewer mode into your timeline, it will be displayed here. Here we only just have one spot to view. Over here we're going to have two of them displayed, but later on as we move forward you'll get to understand what I'm talking about. To start this, I'll recommend you use the singular viewer mode just so you have more space to view your clips. Oh yeah, now let's do some editing. Okay, so pull in your first clip from the media pool into your timeline. You can drop it anywhere really. You can put it at the start, you can let it just land, but just pull it in for starts. Most times personally, I like to leave a little bit of space here just in case I want to add something, say text. Here, let's get into this a bit little closer, zoom in. You can also pull in here to see your video footage well in your project timeline and also to see your sound. So over here, the blue clip this is how it normally comes, default. You can change the colors, but in the default colors, there's a blue clip above a green clip. And you notice that the blue clip stays in the video layer, and underneath you see a line here. This demarcates the video section from the audio section. So over here, any kind of sounds you want to put in, sound effects, music, background music, you put it in the audio layer below. And then if you want to add extra clips like videos, or you want to add in pictures, or you want to add in like a logo or all that, you put it above in the blue section. If you want to watch back what you have in your timeline, you can move this playhead along your timeline, or you can tap the space bar and it will play in real time. As I already said, you can make your video tracks and your audio tracks bigger by pulling on this. Just hover around these lines and then pull accordingly. You can also adjust other aspects of the workspace. You can pull this slider to increase your viewer mode so that in case you really want to see what you want to see, as well as the media pool side, left or right, to taste basically however you want it, whatever works for you as an editor. For me though, I normally work with a bigger screen, so I display my viewer mode on the bigger screen, and then my project timeline and my media pool and all the other ways that I have to interact with my cursor and my fingers over here to get the work done, I have that on my main screen. To make a dialogue cut to this dialogue heavy edit that I am editing right now, you can go over here and click this icon, the blade edit mode. I'd recommend selecting linked selection. What this does is that anything you do to the video layer will affect the audio layer. Currently they are not linked, so highlight both of them and then click this. If you click on the video track, both of them get highlighted. If you click on the audio track, both of them get highlighted. What this does is so that whatever you do on the audio or the video track, it affects both of them. Click B on your keyboard to activate. Clicking at this point, let's say here, by clicking at this point in your timeline, it cuts both the audio track and the video track at the same time. And then when I click delete once with the backspace, it deletes both of them because they are linked. Without the link selected, right, if you go to your blade edit mode and you try to cut, it only cuts one track. You have to be careful when in the blade edit mode so you do not cut where you don't want to, because it's a little tap and then you find your clip splitting. So if you are not about to make a cut in your edit, go back to this tool or click A on your keyboard. Here you can interact with your footage without affecting them. So another way to make a cut is by holding your selection key, hovering over the edge of a clip like this till you see these icons or symbols pop up. Holding it down on your keyboard and you can pull in. This helps you easily cut, however. And you can notice this white line here. It shows you just the full length of how your clip can stretch once you start to cut it like this. So if you want to reach the extreme edge, just reach where the white line stops. So if you have a secondary clip, let's get one. Let's put this as our secondary clip. So if you hover your cursor over the transition between the two clips, you'll notice it still brings out, let's zoom in a bit. If you notice, it still brings out the white line. So you can know just how much clip 1 can pull or can cut or can cover into clip 2, or how much clip 2 can cut or cover into clip 1. So right now, there's this white amount of clip 2 in clip 1, and then there's this white amount of clip 1 in clip 2. I mean, the more you edit, the more this just become automatic to you. You might not necessarily be focusing on this tiny itsy bitsy things, but it's good to know. It's good to know just how the software really works and what each little feature or pop-up really actually does. It helps you. You can also move clips around your timeline pretty easy. If you select a clip like this, you can pull it across left or right, or you select the video track and you can move it left or right. And you can also drag it on top of the other track by pulling it up and over. This is done if you have a B-roll shot you want to put on top of a talking head. You can easily just pull it across like this without having to cut out or delete the talking head shot, because you never know, you might decide to come back to this and use it later. If you are working with the kind of clients that I have, trust me, never delete. Find a way to, there are multiple layers. There are 2 layers currently. This is, let me open them up so you see. This is layer 2. This is layer 1. So video 1, layer 1, video 2, layer 2. You can reach up to video 100, as many as you want. I will advise, if you are working with multiple clients, there's always going to be the back and forth. You will want to always know that you can go back to change something. So make use of your infinite amount of layers as much as possible. If your B-roll shot comes with sound like this, your A camera also has its own sound. Let me show you. Here, you will want to delete at least the B-roll shot so it doesn't bring out some unnecessary background noise. This is where it is important to go back to your linking. Click on it, unlink, so you can easily delete just the audio track of the B-roll camera. Also, if you want to add music to your edit, it works the exact same way. You go over imports, you can drag and pull in. I download most of my editing assets from pixabay.com. I'll leave a link. So let's import this and I just pull it into our timeline. Let's play this back to see if this music works well with our project. It's a bit loud. So just like we did with the audio 1 track, the first audio track, you can also do with the second track. Hold it down here and increase, just so you can see the waveforms better. And then you'll notice this faint white line here. When your cursor gets to the line, it changes to this up-down arrow. That way you know you're on the line. You can hold down on that line and you will see it will pop up that says volume. If you pull down on that white line, watch what it does to the waveform. This is decreasing the audio. This is increasing the audio. Right now it is a fucking blast. You don't want that. You want to be able to hear the audio underneath, so reduce it as much as possible. This white line right here represents the decibel level. If you hold it down, you can see it already shows you where the decibel level is at. It's at minus 14.06. Honestly, I like to go with minus 20 dB when I'm putting music under dialogue, just so that it works.
And sugar. Hi, lady.
This works for me. Over to your music track. If you want your music track to fade in or out, you notice this little white thing at the top. Once your cursor is over it, it changes to the forward backward arrow. You can pull it in like this. The sound fades in from 0 up till the actual.
Today in the studio to dive into the minds of customers at 2 beauty girlies and my friend.
And you can also do that at the end of the track to have it fade out. So when you play your clips, you can see the waveforms towards your right, rising and falling. Ideally, it should not really cross 10 over here. So that already says that this audio clip is not balanced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise down or push down my audio track. As you can notice, it's not exceeding the 10 zone anymore. So at the loudest, you can push a little bit past 10 to 5, but you never want to reach 0. In earpiece, in headset, on loudspeaker, it will just be blasting. By blasting, I mean clipping, and it's going to sound distorted. Now I'm playing it back, and now that looks good. So zooming out, it's easy for you to notice that some parts of your audio file appear to be louder than others. And that's normal because in conversation, at some points you will increase your volume level. At some points you will speak a little calmer and quieter. Yeah, but if you decide to adjust the entire volume level of the whole clip, trying to reduce that part, you find out that the previous audio levels that were stable will now be way less. What you do is pinpoint just this one bit that you find louder and nothing else, and then you tone it down. To do that, you'll notice down here at the bottom of your audio clip, you see this keyframe icon. This is a keyframe icon, by the way, if you didn't know. Clicking this keyframe icon, this right here, we call it our volume keyframe timeline. Here we can navigate to the part of the timeline we feel that the audio file is a bit louder. Let's say here, let's say this is the area we are targeting. You go over here and click this icon to activate the keyframes. As you can see, here it is. If you remove the cursor, you can easily see where you put your keyframe here, right before this loud part in your audio. And I'm going to go over here to where the dialogue levels are normal, and I'm going to click it. This is already instructing your volumes to know that, okay, the area we're going to affect is the area in between keyframe 1 and keyframe 2, this area. These places have normal acceptable audio levels. We are not touching them. From behind here all this way, they have normal acceptable volume levels, and we're not touching them. Then we'll go just a little behind and put another keyframe here. From this keyframe backwards, the volume level is acceptable. Then put another one here. After the last keyframe, put another keyframe here. So from this second keyframe forward, the volume level is acceptable. So now, as you can see in this audio timeline, from this point to this point, these are the loud parts of the audio clip. And then to lower the volume, simply click. Once your cursor changes to those two up-down arrows, click and then drag down to reduce it. If you notice, you can see you are only adjusting the audio levels of that particular point. So just reduce it a bit to match, and there you go. Now if you notice, the audio waveforms look the same. You can minimize the keyframe timeline by clicking back on the keyframe icon. Also, there is an automatic audio settings you can find in the inspector panel towards your top right, and if it is not open, which it is not here, you can immediately just click this. Here you can see different options for editing and working on your audio, and then you can easily do what we just did with the keyframes by going over here to the dialogue leveler. Here DaVinci Resolve already has ways to automatically adjust your audio levels in one single track. However, I personally find this as a hit and miss because I don't feel it does the work better than doing it manually. Most times I use it, I still see extra parts that are louder. So I guess for bulky work, you use the dialogue leveler. But if you have 1, 2, 3 spots that you want to just adjust because you noticed maybe during shoots that the levels of the dialogue at that point was increased, and you just want to just adjust those parts, you can easily use the keyframe icon over here as we just did. But if it's a long audio clip, say 40 minutes, say 1 hour, you go over to your dialogue leveler. Now if you want to add text and titles to your video, let me reduce this so we can all see what we're doing. You can go over to your effects panel. This is your effects panel over here, and if it is not open, you can click this at your top left right beside your media pool, and you can open your effects panel. Go over to your titles. You can see different options for titles here. Let's just pick one and pull above our clip, and then when we play that back, we can see the text pop up over here. Let's close this. And then to customize it, just double click on it and then write, and you can write whatever comes to your head. And you can obviously adjust the font, you can adjust the color, the size, as well as a few other things. There we go. And then you choose any transition, go back to your effects panel, go to your video transitions. DaVinci Resolve normally has a bunch of transitions it already gives, but me personally, I have gone to search for more and add as many as possible, because to make your videos dynamic, interesting, recent, trending, these are the little things you go online to keep up with, to know that you are keeping up with the trends and how things are evolving and more. So yeah, choose video transitions. You see a whole bunch of previews. If you don't have extra, you see the ones that are here. And then to add anyone, just pull, drag across to your timeline and add at the edge of your clips or at the point you want to transition, which is either at the start or at the end of your video track, or in the middle if it is two different clips you want one to transition into the other. Right here, I'm transitioning the text from not being there to being there. So how it comes in. So yeah, that's basically it, I have to say, from adding your graphics to your titles, to your text, to arranging your footages, both sound, audio, and everything in your project timeline. Now we can go to the next panel, which is the Fusion panel. So yeah, the next tab is the Fusion, and this is for more advanced editing, which I will not be able to cover in this particular tutorial, but I will in the next tutorial. So follow, turn on notifications so you don't miss. If you're a beginner at DaVinci Resolve or editing as a whole and you're just starting out, I would recommend that you just use these effects here and basically everything in the editing screen to achieve your editing. So the next phase in the edit is the color correction. Let's go to the color tab. DaVinci Resolve is known as one of the world's best color grading softwares. Movie grades, social media grade, however, it is the best. This is what made it popular in the first place. If you look over here, there are so many little tabs, so many menus. There is a lot you can do with your color correction. There are so many levers to tweak and pull up for different purposes. There's your temperature, there's your tints, there is your lift, gamma, gain, highlights, offsets, contrast. But yeah, if you're just starting out, I would recommend keeping things as simple as possible. So let's select our clip over here. Then you come down here to the color wheels, and the ones I recommend are the color temperature, because sometimes when you are shooting, the color might be too blue. Depending on your camera settings, it might be either too cold or too warm. So you move that across until your colors look normal. What I will do is you click this, pick this tool over here. If you pick it and you navigate to a surface that is white, you can immediately get the actual color temperature for your video. It makes it easier for you. Or you can use your eye and then just hold down over where the numbers are, hold it down and then pull from left to right to adjust according to taste. And you can go over to your contrast and do the same thing. There is no dark area that is black. It's just a dark area. Let me show you. If you increase the contrast like this, if you notice, the darks are not dark, they are black. That's not how it should be. With the camera that was used to shoot this particular clip, there should be detail in every corner, even in the darkest corner. So you adjust your contrast to fit. I would say pull it up a bit or reduce it to 0, because this was quite okay. You can adjust the highlights. The highlights is like the opposite of the contrast. So it's like how much white is in the light areas. Yeah. So yeah, you have many options here to perfectly get the color you need, but that is all done in the color corrections tab here in DaVinci Resolve. Let's play around a bit so you can just see it change. If you go over to your temperature and you do what I said, you go over to your contrast, you tweak it a bit. This is to taste. You go over to your highlights, you also to taste. Your color boost over here is just to add more detail to the color. So if it's a red, it's redder. If it's blue, it's bluer. If that's English, if it's a yellow, it's yellower. As you can see, this is me pulling it up to 100, and you can see what it does to the footage. But you know, keep it at a reasonable amount. Let's say 21. If you can see, this is what it is now. And then if you have multiple clips on your timeline, most times this session has clips running till the end. If you have multiple, I just have 3, and you want to color grade them all at the same time, just hold down on your command key and highlight all, and then follow the same process you followed in the first one to color correct them all at once. And now the next tab is the Fairlight tab here. This is an audio editor with a lot of great features. But then again, this is a bit on the advanced side, so I would advise you once again as a beginner editor to stick to the edit panel and all the features it gives here. It's not needed if you are just a beginner starting out. We've already done some super helpful detailed editing in the edits panel over here. So we're going to leave this and dive over to the last tab, which is the deliver. So over here in the deliver tab, this is where we'll be exporting the video. So the first thing you do before you head over to the deliver tab is go over to your edit panel and set your in and out. What I mean by in and out is this is the section that is going to be exported from here to here. This is how you do it. Let's say you want to export all the way from the beginning. Click your I on your keyboard. You've already set it all the way to here. Click O. You see this section over here, this part marked. If you go over to the deliver panel, just that section is what is going to be exported, and you can find that out here. If you see this render button, the in and out range, so you are saying just render just everything within the in and out range. You can change that. You can say entire timeline, and then it will render everything, but let's keep it on in and out. I would recommend keeping it simple at this point. You can export as H264 over here. It is important to check the settings over here to make sure that the resolution matches as well as the frame rate. Then you go over here and you can give your file a name and say practice. You can browse for a location to save it, and then you pick wherever you want to save it on your system. There's also something else I click, restrict it to a certain amount of kilobytes per second. So let's take 8,000. This is what I use, but I mean, over the course of time of editing, you as the new editor, the more you edit, the more you will find out what works for you. Then you go over to add to render queue. It's going to ask you where it wants to save it to, so just pick a location, save. And then you see over here in this render queue section, your job has appeared, and you can click it and then render. It has started rendering. It is counting. Once the render progress reaches the end, you have your footage. So there you have it. Those are the basics of the DaVinci Resolve editor. This is a fantastic program, and as I said, it can be as beginner friendly or as advanced as you like it. And the wonderful part about it is completely free, while you can still pay for it for some extra features. And this is an editor that can totally be used professionally for paid jobs like film editing or documentaries, as well as content creation. I recently switched from Premiere Pro to DaVinci Resolve, and I'm not going to lie to you, I have not looked back a day or a second since I made that decision. Premiere Pro had its good sides, but it had its downsides. The lagging, it takes my time. Premiere Pro was causing me to totally burn out as a creator. I mean, if you would love to hear some insights from over 6 to 8 years of editing and why I have decided to switch over, subscribe to this channel for more. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out. Make your comments, ask your questions if you have any, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.